Hello and welcome back to another iVP tutorial. Today we will talk about another universal machine, which is called in German the Kragarmregal universal. It roughly translates to cantilever rack in English. If you just search universal in the machine database, then you will essentially come to these universal machines, and it's this one that looks like this. So let's place it in. What do we have? We have this rack. And what can you do? You can customize it in various ways in its dimensions and its how it's filled. So for example, if I want to say this has to be longer, then I can do this in the 2D view right here. Or I can change the depth. So let's make it big. And as you saw here, it's clamped. This value cannot be bigger than the maximum value, which is 2500. So let's roughly do this here. And as you saw, it's this setting here that I just changed. I can also change it right here to 1500. And concerning the length, which I did here, this is actually the rack length here. So maybe let's go to 10 meters. And like with the rack, it rasterizes automatically to a value that makes sense, because the width is currently 1500 and it doesn't fit perfectly into the total length that I just tried to set. So I think it must be 10,500. So if I do this, yes, it works, but if I do 10,000, it does not work. So just keep this in mind. It's rasterized, all these values, and clamped most of the times, minimum, maximum values. Just keep in mind. But yeah, I've gotten ahead of myself a little bit. What do we have here? We have on the right here the values that we can set in general for this rack, in addition to the things I just did in the 2D view. You have this tab for the rack, and you have this tab for the storage goods. Let me just demonstrate quickly the storage goods. I can maybe fill it with 50%. And then I added these storage goods here, and as you can see, they are randomly placed on top of these arms inside the rack. So yeah, I will talk about this later a little bit, but let's stay with the rack and maybe just keep those to 0. So what do we have at the top here? We have the actual total storage places that are possible with the current configuration of this rack. So it uses the actual storage good width that you have set here. So keep in mind, if I, for example, halve this, the total storage places are now 36 in comparison to before 18. Just keep this in mind. Because the storage goods, as you saw at the beginning, can be loosely put on top here. So this is the calculation that we went with. What else can you change? You can change these settings here. I've already showed you the depth, which changes the arm depths. The width is the distance between each arm. So let's say I will do 3 meters, and there you go. Distance grows. Double just that, and the height is then vertical distance, so let's also go for 3 meters. And as you saw here, this is one case where I try to do it bigger than it actually can be. It's clamped to the maximum value of 2500. So there you go. Yeah, this is a very spacious cantilever rack right now. So maybe let's just put this back to the original values. I think the height, I'll just keep it the same. There you go. So the rack length I've already shown you as well with the setting in the 2D view, and this is rasterized. Just keep this in mind. The height, yeah, like the name says, the vertical height. So let's change this. Maybe let's see what happens if I want to change this to 10,000. And it now changes to 9,500. Don't be confused, this is also rasterized. It uses the setting of the storage place height and always guarantees that there is this pillar at the top. So don't be confused, it's rasterized in that way. So keep this in mind. What do we have here? The both sides toggle. Currently, in this rack, I have just one side that has arms, but if I want to have both sides, I just click on both sides. There you go. And now I have these doubled, let's say. Like in the normal rack, I can also add a collision protection, left, right, none, or both. And it places one at the bottom here. So if I quickly go there it goes, and it keeps the total depth of the rack, how it should be. So yeah, the name says collision protection. What else can I do? Like in the normal rack, I can use this as a kind of storage system. I can just toggle this here, and I can say, let me just go to the camera point here. I can just say, yeah, let's have maybe 3 corridors of this, and then it just takes a little bit of time, and there you go. We have now created a cantilever, multiple cantilever racks with corridor count of 3, and let's make the corridor width maybe 5 meters. And after some time, there you go, it has been instantiated. And yeah, that's about it with the rack. The same goes with the normal rack, that I can also change this in the 2D view when I've set a storage system, so I can change the length of the racks. That will take a bit of time, and there you go, they are now a lot bigger. And I can also just try to add more corridors, let's say. And if I just scale this up and have a little patience, and then it calculates how much is possible with the current racks. And I can always say, no, I don't want to use both sides. I just go back to one side and just toggle this, gives us a little bit of time because it has to calculate every distance again. And that's about it with the rack. Very simple to scale up and manipulate in the way you want it to be. Let's talk about the storage good tab. So I've already shown the fill percentage of 50%. I can also say I just want maybe 20%, and then it takes the whole rack system and fills it with 20% filling. And currently I have no load carrier activated, so these wooden pieces are put on top of the arms directly, but I can also say, I want to have a baseboard in between. And if I click this, and you see, the bigger my system gets, the longer it takes, because it has to be instantiated, and this takes a bit of time, so please be patient and don't worry, it will finish. I just added a baseboard for each storage good, and the rest of the settings are exactly the same like in the normal universal rack, or in the universal load carrier. You can set the vertical spacings between each wooden piece here. You can set the offset. You can set the rotation. Just play with these values to your liking. We currently only support the wooden piece here as an object, no boxes. That doesn't make sense in our view. You can change the usage. So if I want to make it maybe very colorful, I choose random, and once again have a little patience. And once it plops up again, there you go. We have now placed these wooden pieces in random materials onto the arms of the cantilever rack. So the stacking also the same. I can choose anything I like. Maybe go for chaotic. And you have to set the ranges here so it makes sense for you. It chooses the total depth width of the storage good that you set in simple mode before, so don't wonder about that. So you can always be sure that these pieces can be stacked on top of the baseboard, for example. You have various settings that you can do here. Choose dimension ranges or not, change the width of the storage goods, or the depth or the height. Maybe let's change this to 5 meters. 3, here we go, then it's placed on this cantilever rack. So that about sums it up with the cantilever rack. You can customize it in various ways and however to your liking. And I hope you have fun with this machine, and see you next time. Bye bye.